What's going on, everyone? Today on the podcast, I have a dear friend of mine who goes by many names. You might know him as Triple P. You might know him as the Crispy One. And for a time being, we just called him Bail Money, Mike Puma. Puma is an improv artist, and he's been a player in Long Island's Friday night face-offs for about 10 years now. You can also catch him in New York City's BATSU. We take some time talking about his journey through comedy, the do's and don'ts he's discovered over the years, and how he's evolved and honed out his craft over that time. As always, if you love the content, don't forget to give us a like and a subscribe. And if you want to join the conversation, leave a comment in the comment section down below. If you're looking for the audio-only version of the podcast, it can be found on Spotify, Google Podcast, and more. You can even help support the podcast by sending us a donation through anchor.fm/youraverage-OG. So with that being said, I want to thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy the podcast. Let's get into it, because I want to ask you, so you've been doing improv comedy for 10 years now,
10
right?
years, yeah.
10 years on your birthday coming up?
No, a little after that. October, like, the first show I ever attended was Halloween in 2009. And I went to tryouts, or auditions, I should say, earlier that week. So, yeah, about 10 years in, like, late October, early November, 10 years, yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow. It's my escape from everyday reality. It's my passion.
And you've been doing it pretty consistently, almost every Friday, right?
Yeah, most Fridays for the last 10 years. With the exception of if I have something scheduled, or sometimes the theater that we perform in needs the space for different, events or shows or something like that. Then we have to take that night off. But average, if there's 52 weeks in a year, we probably perform like 40 Fridays out of the year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah, man.
So how did this all start? Where did this all begin? Because I remember you going through the process. This is what I remember. I remember you going through the process, always wanting to be involved in comedy, right? And, joking around a lot. And then I believe it was our buddy Anthony was like involved in this improv thing, and then you kind of hitched on his wagon a little bit.
Yeah, well, I'll clean that up a little bit. So I'm going to go even before that. I'm going to go back to when, not that far back, but I'm going to go back. Well, actually, yeah, pretty close. I'm going to go back to maybe like around 16 years old. Okay. And there was a friend of mine who I used to hang out with when I was like, like a kid from like 11 to 15 or whatever. And he had moved, so I haven't talked to him in a couple of years. And then we linked up again, and I was talking to him, and he had a girlfriend. And I was like, he was kind of like the shy type. He wasn't very outgoing. He just kind of like kept to himself and just lived life, normally how he wanted to. And he had a girlfriend, and up to this point, I only had like a couple of minor girlfriends, like a month here, a month there, like nothing serious. So I was like, dude, like you like, and she was pretty attractive. Like when we were that age, she was pretty hot. And I was like, dude, like how'd you do it? And he looked at me just like, just make him laugh, bro. Like literally, because he wasn't the most attractive guy either, And I was like, what, like just make him laugh. He's like, bro. He's like, chicks love a funny dude. Mm-hmm. He's like, just make them laugh, and it'll make you look that much more attractive. I'm like, and I always kept that in the back of my mind. I was like, all right, I'm going to try and be like, not the class clown, not the goofball, but just someone that can be like a little quirky, like a couple of zingers, one-liners, think outside the box, outside of the regular ordinary joke.
Right. Fun at a party.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm always in the middle of the circle. So I just kind of took that and I ran with it a little bit. And so our friend Anthony, he actually contacted me. He called me out of the blue one day, and he was just like, hey, Puma, this improv group Friday Night Face-Off in Port Jeff, they're holding auditions. And I was just like, who's Friday Night Face-Off? And he's like, oh, it's an improv troupe. And I was like, okay, what's improv? I had no idea. I literally didn't. Like, I followed the whole stand-up scene. Like, I watched stand-up, and I never had an opportunity at this point to do it, but like I was just like I always wrote down material or ideas that I ever had, and he explained to me. He's like, "Oh, you like whose line is it anyway?" I was like, "Yeah, one of my favorite shows. I love it." He's like, "That's improv. Like when you go out there and you just kind of get suggestions from the audience, and you do everything off the top of your head. And I was just like, wow. He's like, I'm calling you. I never did this before. He's like, I'm calling you because I feel like you would be really good at it. Like, I've seen the show, and I found out they're holding auditions. I think you should do it. And I'm just like,
wow.
I'm like, this could be something interesting. I was like, he's like, come with me. I'm like, I'm going to audition too. I was like, okay. So I remember going down there. They held auditions. It was like a Wednesday night, Tuesday night, something like that. And I was wearing like regular t-shirt, black leather jacket, backwards Yankee cap. And there's other people there that are like a little more sophisticated, and they have headshots and like acting resumes. And I'm just looking at Anthony. I'm like, bro, did you really just like feed me to the wolves right now? Like, these people have clearly done this for years. Right. Like, they have resumes. Like,
they've prepared.
They've prepared. What they've performed in, headshots, professionally done. And I'm here like the Italian Yankee fan, So he's like, bro, that's all right. Just who cares? Whatever. If you don't make it, you don't make it. Whatever. So it was like 25 people there auditioning, and we did a bunch of these group exercises and games, improv games and things like that. And I'm not going to go into what we did, but I wound up getting a call. There was like 5 or 6 people there, and there was another gentleman there, my buddy Chris Hahn, and he was also a member of Friend and I Face Off, but he had stepped away for a little while, and he came back and he started his own improv group called Too Sick Improv Comedy, which isn't around anymore. So he was actually kind of there to look for performers for that show too.
Right.
So in a nutshell, I got a call from Vinny Russo a few days later, who's still there. He's the current creative director. And he said that he wanted me to come back on an intern basis. They liked, what I brought. They understood I didn't have any experience whatsoever, but they felt like I just had like kind of like a natural knack for it. So I said, okay, like what they expected. He told me like what they expected of me and what I needed to do. And, so that's when I went down to the show on Halloween. That was like, come down for free this week, watch the show, because I'd never seen it before. And I remember going down there with Anthony, and like I was watching these guys, man, and I was just like, holy shit. Like it was so funny. It was hilarious. It was great. I loved it. Great show. I loved it. It was a great show. A lot of talent on that stage that night, and I was just blown away. I was like, I want to do that. I'm like, that's great. That's me. Because people improvise every day. Like, may not realize it, but you do. Like where you just put yourself in certain situations, and you got to think on your feet. You got to put something to your mind really quick. You're improvising. So I was like, I can do this. I know I can do this. I want to do this. So one of the first things I had to do was buy this book, read this book, Truth in Comedy. It's like the Improv Bible. I've read it multiple times, and it really explains a lot about the art and what it's about, where it came from, how it developed. And someone in improv, you can read this a lot and it feels like you're always learning something new from the previous time that you read it. So I read this. I started going to auditions. They held auditions like once a week, sometimes every other week. And I just started learning the art of improv. And, a lot of people think it's just going up there and, getting a suggestion from the audience and, making jokes and whatever. But there's like so much detail to it. There's rules, there's details, there's things you got to follow. And if you don't follow them, then it could just be crap. So I just started learning the art, grew within the group. I got selected, me and 2 other people out of the 25. So 3 of us got selected. I also got selected to the other group, Too Sick, that performed over in Farmingdale. And by May of 2010, so about 7-8 months later, I made my debut, and I'm still doing that show, and I love it. I look forward to my Friday nights. Let's put it that way. So,
very cool. You've been doing this for 10 years now. That first couple of months where you're really just figuring this out, or that first couple of years even, you know what I mean? Like, take me through that. Like, when you first started off and you didn't know what you were doing, I was at your first show, and it was you were. You did a really good job, and I was like, all right, Puma's got this. How did it go from there?
that was my So that was my first Friday Night Face Off show. I had tried it out at the other company, Too Sick, and those first few shows, like they were rough. You know, I'm not gonna lie. Everything that I had done before that was just like rehearsing and doing it without anyone watching, and then I went out there, and I definitely like just shat the bed on those first few times. The first show in Port Jefferson, Friday Night Face Off, I felt like I did pretty decent. There was a much bigger crowd there. Family was there, friends were there, so I felt like the support, and I felt I did fairly decent. I mean, I won't lie to you. There were shows where within those first couple of years where it was just, I had to go back to my roots, and because sometimes you could get caught up in the moment on that stage and you could lose the focus and try to go for just the quick joke or the cheesy joke. They always tell you to think above the audience member. Like if the audience member can make that joke, don't make that joke.
Right.
You got to do better.
Right.
You got to go on another level, on a higher level, and you got to be quicker to do it. So, I mean, look, there's still occasionally shows today where, I missed that. That didn't hit. I should have said this. It happens all the time. It happens to the best, But I had some crazy talented people around me, and I still do, that trained me, and we rehearsed together. They taught me the ropes, the positives, the negatives, and everything. I mean, I could really break this down. I'm looking at the book because this is where I learned a lot of my stuff. But the people that created Friday Night Face Off in Port Jefferson, two guys, Jay Painter and Eric Robinson. Okay. And these guys started Friday Night Face Off back in 2003 in Port Jefferson. I believe they were both got jobs at Theater 3 where it's done. And, they met each other, they became friends, and they came up with this idea to start this show there. And it's still going.
How long ago was that?
2003.
2003.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jay and Eric.
So, yeah. So it started then. I joined up in 2009. And, this was their show. And, I was also taught by another guy, Joe Tex. Very talented. He's done Chicago. He's done California, here. He's all over doing his comedy. Vinny Russo, who's the current creative director. Chris Hahn, the one who started Too Sick and was also involved in that show. So I was shown the ropes by these guys, and they knew their stuff, and they know their stuff. And, now they charge people to do it. They teach classes. They hold corporate events. So they smartened up, and they're like, we should be charging people. So I'm blessed I got it for free. But, in those first few years, kind of when you first link up, you kind of feel like an outsider a little bit because everyone knows each other. Yeah. They've all acted and performed together on stages many times together. So when you're the new guy coming in, it's like, where do you fit? Like, where's the piece fit? So I didn't want to be that guy that was kind of holding him back or making the show look bad and just, but I mean, it happens, but you just got to move past it. You got to grow as a performer, and you get better, and you do. You just got to stick with it, and you got to trust yourself, and you got to trust the people around you doing it with you, because one of the other important elements in improv is your job on that stage is to make your scene partner look great. Right. You got to set them up, and they got to do it in return. And if you do that, it's great. Like, magic happens.
Absolutely. I mean, any type of performance, that's really the case, especially like, again, I equate everything to music because that was my avenue. But same thing. It's a lot of the same stuff, like being up in front of the crowd. These are strangers, and you have seconds to get them to like you, basically, or get them to understand what you're doing, or get them to come aboard on you on whatever journey you're selling. And you and I are big wrestling fans. Same thing with them. If there's two guys in the ring, they got to set each other up. Sure. Same way comedians do, and same way, even if you're just jamming musically wise, you're gonna want to do something that's gonna make the guy next to you look better, and he's gonna do the same. So absolutely, a lot of similarities through there. So you started off, you're the outsider, right? You're the new kid. That's a hard position to be in, of course. Like, you don't know if you're even a member of this club technically yet, right? You got to earn your stripes a little bit.
Sure, of course.
So what was the tipping point where everyone started to kind of come around?
Well, I mean, when I first came on there, what they were doing at the time where they were rotating performers to actually be their tech guy. So if you weren't performing that week, you were in the tech booth. So you were doing the lights, you were doing the music, and that was your contribution to the show that week. So I was like, to become a little bit more part of the group and the show, I asked them, I'm like, why don't I just do it? Like, train me to do it. I'll rehearse with you guys whenever we rehearse. And I'll take care of the tech. So I'm here every week. I'm watching the show. I'm watching what you guys do. I'm watching how the games are played and how you work with the audience, et cetera, et cetera. So they love the idea. So I started doing tech every week. So the regulars that came down, and there were regulars that the regulars that came down, they knew me because I was the tech guy. I was Puma in the tech booth.
Like the regular audience members.
Yeah, the ones that regulars came every week.
Gotcha.
So, they learned me because I kind of added an extra element. Like I had a microphone, so I would do like these little drops. Like sometimes I would drop a sound effect or a certain song that like made sense to be played after one of the game. A game, they could have just did a game that they brought in an element of a certain song or a movie, and I would play that song. So people, I can make people laugh from the tech booth just by doing certain things like that.
Yeah.
So they started to know me that way, and like I'll never forget. Like 2 weeks before I made my debut on that stage, after the show was over, Vinny Russo, the creative director, he gave it up for me one more time, doing a great job, been in the booth for 8 months, whatever it was. Like, you guys love Puma, this and that, da-da-da-da-da. Like, yeah, they give me a round of applause. I'm like, oh, thank you. He's like, all right, good. So come back in 2 weeks because he's going to make his debut on this very stage. And I was just like, oh.
Oh, he didn't tell you?
No, he didn't. I had no idea.
Great.
I had no idea. So he's like, well, just make sure, because he's like, we're not going to be here next week, but come back in 2 weeks because he's going to make his debut right. And I was just like, I couldn't believe it. No one told me.
Oh, man.
And they went crazy because they knew me. And
at this point,
it was great. Like that's when I kind of felt like I was in. But I wasn't like a regular yet. I wasn't in every week. I wound up being like kind of like a fill-in where they needed me. If someone needed a night off, they were doing something. Then, so I was doing maybe like every other week to every 3 weeks at that time.
Sure. Rotation.
Yeah. Probably by the end of 2010, beginning of 2011 was the creators of the show, Jay Painter, Eric Robinson, Joe Tex, and there was, those three I'll get to in a second, but another member that we had, Lou Jimenez, had moved to LA and he wanted to just pursue the acting career out there. So he left. So that was one spot that opened up. Joe, Jay, and Eric had basically left us holding it down in Port Jeff with that show while they wanted to create other shows, but in New York City. Okay. So they had experimented. And they started up all these different shows, and they found theaters over there where they can perform and rehearse and do their thing. Which hats off to, man. I mean, those are three of the most brilliant comedy teaching minds that are out there. They were doing their thing, and we still have the show going on right now. And they started up all these different projects, and one of the projects that they started up was a Grand Slam. And that's BATSU, New York City. And I do that as well.
So that's how you got BATSU.
That's how I got BATSU, yeah. So the guys that created Friday Night Face Off, they created BATSU. No, they created other shows that were funny. They just didn't hit. BATSU hit.
Right.
But that's okay because you're not going to win on every scratch off.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No, but exactly. That's why we try.
Oh, yeah. 100%. But them three now out of the picture and Lou out of the picture, there was more spots there. So I became a regular each week. I was performing in Friday Night Face Off in Port Jeff each week. So the regulars started to get to see me more. I started to develop more my talent, and that's just become more crisp.
Okay, so now they're out, right? Or hands off for the most part.
Yeah, they left it to us, right?
You're starting to step up a little bit. You're becoming more prominent in the group. How many members in the group?
Now or then?
I guess then.
So back then we had a lot. We had maybe like nine members or so. Okay. 4 of them left, so they left us with like 5.
Okay.
So we brought, we held we held another couple of auditions, and we brought in some newer faces to the group. And then, they had to do their thing. Some of them did the tech like I did, got them in every so often, came to rehearsals, and kind of like just followed the steps that I did. But some of them also had experience doing it before, where I was brand new.
So they had chops.
Yeah, like they've done the comedy or acting or something like that. And let me just say, like, just because you're an actor does not mean at all that you can be an improviser.
Well, sure. It's two different things.
Right.
Yeah.
But I've seen certain people that have acted and then they try to put their feet in the water of improv, and
it's no good.
No, some can, but there's a big difference between having a script in front of you and memorizing that script. Same thing with stand-up. You're memorizing things you write down. Improv, you don't have a script, So, but doesn't mean you can't learn. I learned, But then, we brought these people in, still funny people, great talents. Some came in, some are gone. Some came in, and they're still there doing with me right now. So, it's great, and the show's still going since 2003.
When you're in that position now, being, not the rookie anymore.
Yeah.
Now you're kind of a sophomore,
yeah,
or a junior or whatever, and are you taking more of a leadership role in the group?
At that time, probably not. I mean, for those that just came in, like I was in that position where I was kind of like the rookie, so I always tried to welcome them into the group. And, going back to what I said, outside the theater, off the stage, you kind of want to make sure they're included. You want to leave them left out. You want to keep their spirits up, increases their self-esteem, their self-confidence. You want to make them a part of the group. But on stage, like I said, I was like, you need to just be out there with them and not try to steal the spotlight.
Right.
There may have been people in the audience that they knew me, they knew I was funny, and they were waiting to see what I can do. But at the same time, I'm trying to put the focus on them because they need to do it in return. And if you do that, it works. If you just go out there and you're talking over that person and you're taking the dominant stand and you're kind of leaving them in the background, it doesn't work. So you need to share that stage and include them just as much as you do off the stage. But I don't really think I took such a leadership role. Okay. I still had Vinny Russo, creative director, another amazing, talented individual, like one of my best friends, might be the smartest person I've ever met. Steve Zeggers. He was there, and he's still there with me, still there with us today. He was there back then when I auditioned. He's done improv before. He's a science teacher. That's what he does for his regular career. But, he was there. So I should have included him from the beginning. He definitely showed me a lot in terms of what I know today. But I know he told me that he initially voted no to me to be in. So I try not to give him too much credit. But
does he still stand by that?
No. Well, let's put it this way. He voted yes to Anthony. He voted yes to Anthony and no to me.
And this is the smartest person you've ever met?
The biggest thing he told me was is mostly because I didn't have the experience. I never did it before. So I think that was, obviously he'll never say he regrets it. He'll never ever say that, but we all know he does. But he was there, Vinny Russo. So those guys kind of took that leadership spot. Another one of my buddies, I haven't seen him in years. He actually moved to Texas now. He's married. He has twins. My buddy Charlie Connolly, he was also there. He was another member that was there before me, who when I came on, just welcomed me in, open arms, funny guy, really funny. He wound up moving to Texas with his girlfriend, fiance at the time. Now he lives down there doing his thing. So no, at that time I was just kind of like just being a regular member, not the rookie,
right.
not the
making
veteran.
any waves, just doing your job, being funny,
doing my thing. Exactly.
Being nice.
Plus,
to everybody.
I don't think I was in the position to be like a veteran. I didn't have years and years of experience doing this.
Okay.
I don't think I was in the position. If any of the noobs that came on were had questions for me, there were a couple of people that came on that were just like, so what do you think about this? Like, what do you think how I did here? And I would definitely give them my input, but by no means should they have taken it seriously, because there were other people there that definitely could have, probably helped them out better than
give a little bit better advice than you think.
Well,
you never know. You never know.
Okay,
so we're up to about 2000. So you started in
9 when I first started. Yeah,
so like 13, 14,
2010.
Right, so 13, 14, you're kind of in your stride, right? You're kind of just doing your thing. You're comfortable on stage, probably at this point.
Yeah,
you're comfortable with your partners. You know who you can work with, probably better than who you can't.
100%
at this point, right?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where does it go from there? Like, because I know there is a level in performance too, especially once you start getting good at something, that things kind of start to kind of level off a little bit, and you're like, all right, I need a little bit more challenges. I need something new, because I'm good at this, and that was my goal, but now I'm good at it. So now I got to try something new. Like, have you guys, what keeps it? Obviously, it's improv, so you do get a lot of variety in what you're talking about and probably your subject matter. I'm sure there's a lot of similar things as well.
Yeah.
But like, what have you done to kind of change things up? Have you taken chances where like bombed? You know what I mean? At this point, or are you still just kind of just riding?
Well, I mean, it's a good question. Back then, yeah, I probably wasn't. I was still riding it. I wasn't really looking to do anything crazy. But now, about to hit the 10-year mark, I understand that question. And the beauty about improv is, you can take it to another element. You could take it to a higher level, but it's always like so unique every time you do it, because you never repeat the same scene or the same performance.
Right.
We base a lot of what we do from the audience suggestions. We play a lot of the same games. We also bring new games to the table as well.
Right.
So a new game is always fun. Like I hosted the show 3 weeks ago, and I had found a new game that I found online, and I read up on it, and I was like, oh, we should try this. So we debuted a new game. Audience members always like that, but that's the beauty. You take with you're going to get different audience members all the time. We get new people all the time. This show started in 2003. We get people that are coming down now that never heard of it before. So we're getting new suggestions from them, and it just creates new material. And like no two improv scenes are ever the same. It's always going to be different.
Yeah. So that keeps everything fresh.
Yeah, but at the same time, it could be a little repetitive in terms of the routine. Where every Friday games. I'm going down, we're playing the same games. I'm playing with the same people. So it can be a little repetitive in that nature. But by no means am I getting sick of it. I still look forward to it. We have fun. I mean, we can have an audience of 80 people, or we can have an audience of 10 people, and we're still going to have fun doing it. But there are ways to elevate it. There's also different forms of comedy. There's long form, there's short form, in the improv circuit.
Of course.
I've never really done long form before. I'm more of a short form guy, mostly because that's the shows that I've been a part of. Long form is basically, you're basically taking a scene and you're breaking it up into parts, but you're doing it over like 30 minutes, 40 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So it's almost like you're creating a long story.
So it's like the same subject, but different things.
Yeah. So it's like we're getting a suggestion, and we're going to develop this long form scene for you with different characters, different parts. And it's like creating a story just out of thin air.
Sure. That's going to be fun for callbacks.
Callbacks, absolutely. Callbacks are beautiful. Love callbacks.
It's my favorite thing.
I try to do that, not all the time. I don't want to, take advantage of it. But if you find a moment for a callback and it just works and it fits and you don't force yourself to do it, it's great. It's great. But in long forms, yeah. Callbacks are actually like almost, you can say, a necessity in long form. Like, you got to do that. Yeah. If you want to find those magic spots in improv with long form, you have to do callbacks. You have to.
Yeah.
But, I mentioned BATSU earlier. And you want to talk about adding a higher level or more elements to this, what I do. That's definitely a great way to do it. You had that ready to go.
Of course I did.
I'm glad you didn't. So I was going to say the Friday Night Face Off website is very outdated. We had a former member that was in charge of it and is no longer part of it. Yeah, this is old stuff. I definitely suggest just going to our, if you want to check it out, Friday Night Face Off on Instagram and Facebook, that would be, and Twitter, that would be definitely the best ways. Our website, unfortunately, the nights that we've been dark, there's occasionally we'll get people down at the theater looking for a show because they went on our website.
Okay. Yeah. So just keep on the social media.
Keep on this for Friday Night Face Off. Yes. Yeah. Social media. BATSU. I don't even know where to begin with BATSU.
Yeah, you've told me about it, but like your first time, was it explained to you? Did you just jump in and?
Oh no, I knew what I was getting myself into.
Okay, so let's get into it then.
I mean, BATSU is like it's like improv. Let's say improv is a group of people walking down the street. Okay. BATSU is like taking those people and turning them into like a Mardi Gras parade. Walking down the street. It's mayhem. Okay. So, I mean, I do this spiel almost every time I do BATSU because I have to explain it to certain audience members. So BATSU originated in end of 2010, beginning of 2011. Basically, it's a Japanese word that means penalty or punishment. And how it works is there's 4 competitors that take the stage, and they're competing against each other in these like improv comedy challenges. We're not called competitors. We're called like comedy warriors. Okay. And we're competing against each other in these improv challenges. We use the audience for suggestions, just like any improv show. And we play certain improv games. But the difference is, while we perform against each other in these games and these challenges, if we're not funny, or if we screw up, or we lose competing against each other in these challenges, we have to get punished. So we have to receive BATSU. So people are like, okay, so how do you get punished? And there's a lot of different ways that it happens. So we get shot with paintball gun.
Before you list them.
Okay.
Tell me about your first time getting BATSU. I want to know what happened your first time.
Well, I definitely got shot with a paintball gun.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I was scared. Okay. I was. Okay. Because even though I knew what to expect, I didn't actually have experienced it yet.
Okay.
So I got shot with a paintball gun. We get shot right here in the stomach, for anyone wondering. It hurt, but the show must go on. So you just suck it up, take your bow to the audience. I got my fingers put in mouse traps. First time that I've ever experienced putting my finger in a mouse trap. We have this other punishment. Yeah, and we should probably let people know that if you don't want to know this, if you actually want to go see the show, I don't know if you want to listen to this part, if you want to walk into the show like being surprised. We do this other punishment where we have to eat a piece of sushi off of a big hairy guy's stomach. So we put.
Do you find a random big hairy guy in the audience?
No. They're part of our group.
Oh my god!
Where they come out and they play a character, and they're like the platform for this sushi. Okay. So we put a little teriyaki sauce down. We fill the belly button up with soy sauce, and we have to take the sushi and little dunkage and eat it. So we got something like that. We get shock collars put on our necks. So we will get shocked with like a dog shock collar on our neck. And we have a bunch of others, but those are the ones I could definitely remember doing like the first time around. And we still have those today. Those are some of our more popular, famous punishments. Mm-hmm. And once in a while we have new ones coming in and out that we try out.
Getting innovative.
Yes.
Like the ECW of improv comedy.
Yeah. Well, you want to try, you want to try some new ones and see if it works. But none of them are a cakewalk. I'll tell you that.
Right.
None of them are a cakewalk. So, it's just kind of like, you're walking into the show and, all right, what am I going to get tonight? We're not really sure. So, but that's definitely a way that, it just adds more elements to doing some short form improv.
To answer that question.
It's not just your regular who's line going back and forth type of improv show. And there's a lot of improv shows out there that do something like that. They have their own theme, where it's not just a normal improv show. They have a theme to it where they add different aspects and different elements to the show. New York City has a bunch. If you want to learn more about that show, social media, BATSU NYC, and they have one in Chicago too.
And same people in Chicago, like the same.
Yeah.
owners?
So
that was who we were talking about earlier. Right?
Yeah. So Jay, Eric, and Joe started this, and they started the one in Chicago, and hopefully, they'll keep expanding as long as far as we're able to go. But Chicago's doing great. New York's doing great. Yep.
Very cool.
Chicago. So, and obviously the website explains this is our mural right outside. So the performance spot that where we perform is called WARA, WARA, and we don't have a sign or anything that says WARA. This is what you see on the outside. So if you're looking for BATSU, and
this is what you see.
This is what you'll see. This is a mural
good to know.
that was made. Yeah,
that's fantastic. Got some ninjas with beer.
Yeah, each show we have a sake ninja.
Huh.
Yeah. So what they'll do is if you purchase one of our hachimakis, which is like the BATSU bandana looking, it's called a hachimaki. If you purchase one, you will get multiple visits from our sake ninja throughout the show where he'll just fill you up with some sake.
Oh, that's great, actually.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Performers, yeah. So that's Jay Painter. He's the creator of Friday Night Face Off and BATSU.
Very cool. So let's talk about this.
my Instagram. What do you want to talk about? You want to?
I'm ready to go.
This is my Instagram. My wife wanted. If you ever been, we took a cruise to the Bahamas, and if anyone has ever been on a cruise that's listening to this, they will do the professional photos on the boat, and she wanted to get them done. So this is one of them where I played the part of a real estate agent. And you can find this photo on shopping carts and bus stops advertising if you're looking to buy a home.
Hilarious. I'm not gonna lie. When you first put this up, I was like, "Did Puma get a real estate license without telling me?"
You know what's funny? I had people messaging me saying, "Oh my God, you got into real estate?" And I was like, "No, it's just a picture that looks like I got into real estate." Yeah, so that's where I'm at right now with the whole comedy thing. Friday Night Face Off on Friday nights, and BATSU New York City, once to twice a week, sometimes 3 times, depending on my availability and when they want to schedule me. So
you're like featured in BATSU, but like you're a regular.
Yeah. So BATSU, we have a wide cast, wide array of people that perform in it. So they try to balance it out so everyone gets a certain amount of shifts.
Every couple of weeks you get in, regardless.
Yeah. I know I'm going to be in it at least once a week, at least one show a week. Sometimes twice, depending.
How many shows did I do a week?
They do 7. Yeah. So they do one show Tuesday night, one Wednesday night, one Thursday night, and then they do 2 shows Friday night, 2 shows Saturday night. That's in New York City. In Chicago, I want to say they do Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I could be wrong though. But if there's anyone listening from Chicago, just Google BATSU Chicago and they'll have all the information.
Sure.
But 7 shows in New York City. And the location WARA where we perform is only open when BATSU is performing. Otherwise it's closed.
Okay, so it's strictly just BATSU. So that's the only reason to be there.
The previous location we were in Jaban up until February of this year, what the original spot for BATSU recently had to close, unfortunately. Sure. Yeah, but they were like a regular Japanese restaurant also. So they had the restaurant and then we performed there on certain nights. This is strictly for BATSU. So it's only open. You can only eat there and go there if you buy a ticket to see BATSU.
Gotcha.
So it's our own sanctuary. It's great.
That's great. That's phenomenal.
It's great. I love it.
That's awesome.
And, being out here living on Long Island, people ask me, they're like, dude, like, because what I do is I work. When I'm done with work, I drive into Manhattan. Mm-hmm. I do the show, and I drive home, and I get home close to midnight. I shower, go to bed, wake up, go to work.
Yeah.
It's not like...
It's a grind.
It's a grind, exactly. And I love doing it. If I didn't love doing it, it was just kind of like, it's okay. I wouldn't do it.
No, I get it.
You know what I'm saying?
I get it.
One of the best feelings in the world is if you're and you might know this, or you should know this, if you write music and you perform in front of people and that crowd sings those lyrics back to you, it's got to be an amazing feeling. Mm-hmm. What I think is very close to it, or just as great of a feeling, is people laughing at you saying your joke, doing something hilarious. So, I mean, I've always believed in just making people laugh. Even if I'm the butt end of the joke. I don't even care. But if you got laughter out of it, my job is done.
It's the root of our relationship. Because all we ever do is try to make each other laugh. I mean, all day long.
Yeah.
You know, I say the most outlandish things around you just because I know you'll laugh at them, honestly. Probably. That's really the only reason why I say it. Like out loud, just because if it's a crowd of people, I'm like, this is going to make Puma laugh. A lot of this, so many times. I'm like, so much. And you're the only one that laughs, and I get yelled at. But it's worth it to me. That feeling, it's a connection, is what you're talking about. You know, it's that connection with a total stranger, you know, agreeing to this moment.
Oh, sure.
You know, it's making someone laugh or singing a song, whatever the case may be. That's ultimately what it is. And it's something that whenever I'm in any type of situation, you just want the room to like you, you know, regardless of where you are, right? And I feel like everyone feels that way. But it's a matter of who has the ability to focus on it and hone it in and read the room and read the people and be like, okay, I can go here with this, or I can go here with that, or I can go in this mode. Similar, you know, when we were playing, there was times where I was like, you know what? Tonight's not the night for this song. Just because I'm looking at this crowd, they want something a little bit different, you know. Okay. Maybe let's not play our slower, emo-ier one, or, you know, let's these guys want to go hard, let's go hard. Let's play all the heavy, let's play all the bangers, sure. You know. Just reading the crowd and having that connection, and them responding, and like, I did that to you. You were feeling shitty a second ago, now you're laughing. Or you were feeling shitty a second ago, now you're dancing.
You know, whenever I've gone to a concert and like you're just, the music stops and you're singing the lyrics back to the group, it's just like, what must they be feeling right now?
The same thing you're feeling.
It's great.
It's the same.
There was a time where they put pen to paper and wrote those lyrics, and now you're having thousands of people sing it back to you. Like, it blows my mind thinking about it. You know, I'm not a songwriter. You know, I might have written songs just messing around, but you know, I can tell some jokes. You know, I'm pretty quick to the punch when it comes to, like, you know, a punchline and trying to make people laugh. So when I can do that and just listening to the place like go crazy with laughter, it's just like, damn,
it's a drug.
Feels good, man. Yeah. It's addiction. It really is.
It's the greatest feeling in the world.
It really is. And, you know, not to like sound conceited and not to pat myself on the back, there are times where I'm approached after after the show, and people love the show. They love the show, whether it's Friday Night Face Off or Batsu. Like, they're like, this was great. Had a great time. You guys were awesome. I've been approached, and this is in multiple times, where people have told me, they're like, you know, and I don't want to sound conceited again, but they were just like, dude, you were our favorite up there. Like, we felt like we can connect with you on a level that we couldn't with some of the other performers, even though you all great.
Yeah, like, it's not about being better.
No, not at all. And that's
about connection.
And yes, and it's definitely not about being better than the next person, because that's not what it's about. But that, you know, I've had multiple people tell me that they don't even know each other, like on different nights, different occasions, where they just came up to me and they were just like, we feel like we connect with you more on just like a regular level, where you're not like putting yourself above us because you're the performer and we're the audience member. And like, I tell them, I'm like, dude, I'm an average person like you. Like, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow, I'm gonna go to work. I'm not on tour doing this, getting paid millions of dollars.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I tried to have the connection of just the next person, just like me. You know, so when I perform like this, you know, and they tell me that, I just kind of have a natural knack for it, and I get people in the audience telling me like, dude, like, we just connected with you, like we just. You were there, like, we understood, like, this and that. I'm just like, it feels fucking great. It feels great. And it makes me just want to go and give these people a great night each time that they're going out there, and I get to do what I love. It's a win-win-win-win-win.
It's the reason why I wanted to start this podcast. It's, you have a creative bug, or you have a drive for something, you know. So my question to you is, you've been doing this, you're seasoned, you know, you've been doing this a decade, you got your 10 years in almost.
Seasoned, baby.
what's the next step? You mentioned you want to do some stand-up.
Stand-up's great. I've done it a handful of times, not a lot, but I enjoyed it when I did it. The first few times I did it, it was a little rough because I had to bring like 8 people with me. Mm-hmm. They each had to pay like a $25 cover, and they each had to order 2 drinks minimum.
Right.
And I understand why places do that, but it's like for 5 minutes on stage to get that done, and I got to wait an hour and a half before, because other performers go before me. It's like, there's got to be a better way.
Oh, I understand that completely. when we were starting out, this is how it was on if you're in a band on Long Island that didn't have friends, basically. You want to play a show at, let's say, Revolution? Sure, you can come play a show at Revolution. Mm-hmm. All right, we'll give you 15 minutes on stage. You have to sell 50 tickets, and they're $20 each.
Right.
Oh, and by the way, you have to put up the money before we give you the tickets. So you have to buy the tickets from us and then sell them. And if you don't play. That's how a lot of those shows were in the beginning. The issue I have with this, this has been a topic of conversation throughout these, is when you do that, okay, you're not playing for an audience. You're playing for your friends and family, right?
Right.
So you're playing for the people that know you. They're there supporting you, but they're not there for the thing you're doing. They're there for you.
Yeah, sure.
When you play in front of strangers and you get that response back, that's what you're looking for.
Right.
And that's how it should be presented.
Right.
It's up to the promoter to bring the people. The performer doesn't have to bring the people. You shouldn't have to worry about drawing in situations like that where you're playing low-level comedy or whatever it is. You shouldn't have to worry about that. You should be giving opportunities based on your performance, not based off how much you can draw.
Right.
And that's what makes things fail. That's why a lot of reasons why people hate on like the Long Island band scene. It's great. It's very big and vast. There's a lot of music coming out of Long Island. A lot of music. But there is that barrier of bands that get stuck in that groove of literally letting promoters screw them.
100%. I understand where you're coming from. And I know why those venues do that, because they want you to perform in front of a crowd. And
no, they just want money.
Oh, that's too.
It. They want to too. You want to perform here?
I know from the comedy side, like I was told, we don't want you to perform in front of an empty house. We want you to perform in front of people. And they did these open mic nights on like Mondays and Tuesdays. So who's going to go on a Monday and Tuesday? Not a lot of people. So
they tempt you with exposure. Exposure is a very fickle word. And here's why. Because even in the corporate world, right, they'll ask you to do things that you're not getting paid for. It's extra work. Oh, you'll get great exposure. Oh, go to this thing. You'll meet the vice president of this thing. Mm-hmm. Blah, 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 blah. That vice president in 5 years won't be there anymore. No, CEOs don't last like that in normal businesses. 5 years, like executives and stuff, directors, 5 years, they're out, in and out, in and out. It's like coaching terms in the NHL. That's how all that works.
Right.
Same thing with that. It's, we'll give you all this exposure, but you're paying for it. That's not a selling point. It's an evil word when you use it that way. Exposure is great. You want people to see you, but it's not up to you how many people see you. You shouldn't be having to bring people to see you. You should just be going to where the people are. You know what I mean? And then with open mic nights, that's also a spot where you're working on your craft.
Sure.
It doesn't matter how many people in there. You're trying to figure out what you're doing.
Sure. You make me think back to when I was a noob for doing the improv. They used to have me go down into Port Jeff like 2 hours before showtime and promote the show, which is not allowed in Port Jefferson.
Who gives a shit?
The constable does, and they told me to stop. So but what's funny was
you get as much done as you can, and then you stop.
I was down there and I was doing it, and all the other guys were in Tommy's in the
drinking?
bar. In the window, drinking and watching me do it. And like they called. I remember getting a phone call while I'm doing it. And they're like, hey, having fun out there? Yeah, you're doing a good job. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? And I just see them like all the time. He's just like, and I'm just like, asshole. But whatever.
That's what you do.
I had to do. Yeah.
That's what you do to the new guy.
I had to do it. And we got some people in the house that night. So.
Yeah. And you got to test, when you have new people out, it's hazing, right? It's a way to, can this guy hang with us? Can this guy, can he take a joke? Sometimes, let me ask you this. Do you ever feel like Batman? And let me explain.
Okay.
Because there's this life that you live, right, with your family and friends.
Sure.
And then there's this other thing you do, that they know about, they've seen it, but they don't do it. You know what I mean? They don't do it every single day. Like, they don't think about it all the time like you probably do.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, when you're doing something this long and this much, like, you're thinking about it all the time. So do you get like that? Do you understand that kind of feeling?
Yeah, here's my answer
like
to
Batman?
that.
Yeah.
I'm always Batman. That's my answer to that. Okay? Because that shit lives with me 24 hours a day. I don't care.
Yeah.
All
the time.
It
doesn't go away, right?
It's not like I just snap into, it's not like I just like climb into the Batsuit and go and do my shit. Like, right. I'm always in the Batsuit. Mm-hmm. I'm always doing this shit.
Bruce Wayne is the mask.
Stays with me all day. I like live it, and I want to live it. I'm in the sales business. I'm in the comedy business. Even when I went to school, I went for communications. So I was always finding new ways of communicating and doing all sorts of things in that category that I can connect to sales. I can connect to this. Mm-hmm. So that, honestly, it never leaves me. I'm at home. You can talk to my wife. I drive her crazy.
I'm sure you do.
I drive her crazy because
drive me crazy.
I never
I don't have to
snap.
live with you.
It never leaves me. I never snap out of that element.
Ever.
I mean, in certain more serious cases when I have to, then yes. But
it's still there because you're probably like, at a funeral and be like, I can really say something fucked up.
Yeah, you know what? You can. When my buddy Steve that I mentioned before, when he got married to his wife Heather, who also does the improv with us.
Great.
They actually just had a kid, little Clara. So congratulations to them. Shout out to Steve and Heather.
Shout out to Clara.
She's 2 weeks old. So Heather has she's taken a little not marital. What's the word?
You can find it.
Wait, is it marital?
No,
it's not. That's. I went to community college.
No, you didn't, motherfucker.
Well, I started there. I actually dropped out of it initially.
You were like a genius.
She took a leave.
Paternity.
Oh, dude, my vocabulary is such shit.
You were just talking about how into communication you are.
I said nothing about widening my vocabulary. I'm talking about how I present myself. If there is one thing I could change about myself, anything, it'd be the size of my hands. My hands are way too small. The second thing was widen my vocabulary.
Well, one of those things you can take care of. They make this cream. I've seen it in the store at GNC. They got it. Yeah.
But anyway,
get that word of the day toilet paper. It's amazing.
Dude, you know what's funny? If I'm like, sometimes I'm listening to a podcast or the radio and people say a word and it's like, it's used a lot, but I really don't understand what it means, but I hear it a lot.
You know what it means, but you can't define it.
I try to make it like, all right, I need to remember this moment right now of when I heard the word. Mm-hmm. Let me see what it means so I can use it again in the future. It never sticks. I don't forget about it.
Write it down.
I try. I know. I got it. My vocab is shit.
Mine's not better. I slip in and out of like semi.
I couldn't think of paternity.
Well, I did just have a baby, so
that's true. This is, you're mentioning like, I'm at a funeral. I could say something like, So at their wedding, so there's this improv game we played called Different Choice. Yes. How it works is, if you remember it, okay. So really quick,
explain it.
Yeah. So you're in a scene, and if there's you say something or you do something in action, the host can yell different choice, and you have to instantaneously change the choice that you just made. And he could say it over and over again as many times until he stops, and then you have to justify that choice in the scene and why it makes sense. And you have to go with it. So at their wedding, after Steve said "I do," I kind of went different choice like this because my buddy next to me said, "I'll give you $20 if you say it." So I said it, and they kind of went like a little like this, and I'm just like, but I did it. Joe still owes me that $20. I got to talk to him about that. But Steve laughed. He loved it. He's like, "I heard you."
That's hilarious. See, now had you shouted it, it would have landed. Because you whispered it, they were like, "Is he serious?"
Well, I mean, I didn't know her parents that well at the time.
Yeah, but they know she does improv.
Yeah.
And all the other guys would start laughing. It would have been the biggest laugh you ever got.
In that specific moment at a wedding.
They're two improv people getting married.
Yes, I know, but I mean, Steve loved it.
It would have hit so hard.
Maybe I just didn't want to be that guy.
If you would have talked everyone else into doing it too, though, if everybody went different choice, it would have been like, my god. When you're doing improv though, and you've been doing it as long as you have, how have you maintained keeping up with like trends? Because obviously all your references are going to be coming from whatever's happening right now. So what have you done to, keep up? Keep up
like current events and stuff like that. I mean, so sometimes it's great to drop a reference to something that's really trending, or really popular, and if you can throw that in where everyone kind of gets a laugh at it, it's great. But I'm not gonna lie, like I've watched Star Wars once. I've never watched Harry Potter. I've never watched Lord of the Rings. And if you make these references, a lot of the times, like it'll hit. Like if you can bring one of those into what you're doing, it'll hit a lot. But there's other things that like if there's something that like is going crazy on social media, like I remember like when everyone was watching Bird Box, Bird Box was huge. Everyone was watching it.
Right.
If you can bring that in, everybody did it, so it's all over social media, so everyone knows what you're talking about. So sometimes I'll wear my hachimaki and I'll wear it like over my head where I can still see a little bit, but like I'm DJ Bird Box, and people are just like, because I can't see. It's funny.
Let me ask you this: like, you mentioned social media, so have your social media habits changed a little bit since doing this? Because like, man, maybe I should see what's trending, see what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely been on Twitter. Like, I never used to go on Twitter. I'm on Twitter a lot. I've really started to check out Twitter, probably almost as much as Facebook. But I definitely stay involved. I'm not a big political guy. I hate politics. It's just drama for adults. I hate it.
It's laws.
Yeah, I still hate it though. I can't take it. And whenever I even bring up just an ounce of politic talk, I'm friends with all kinds of people that have all kinds of views and beliefs. And when I see them just start to peck at each other, I don't just stop. I don't even bring it up. I understand it's laws and there's certain things are right, certain things are wrong, but what this person thinks is right, this person may think is wrong. I know. It's just a back and forth, and I feel like it's just never going to get better. So I'd rather spend my time on things and focus on things doing that I love and not get involved in all that shit. So I try not to do anything with politics when I'm performing. And people like to pimp me out a lot, especially with Star Wars and Harry Potter, and like they'll bring a reference into what we're doing, and it's just like I'll just stand and look at them like, you motherfucker. Because they know I have nothing. And the regulars, like in Friday Night Face-Off, they know this. They know Puma as the Italian sports lover, right? Selden, the Long Island douche, wear my backwards hat. I'm telling you, bro. People know me as like the Long Island douchebag. Like I wear a backwards hat. I have this thin beard, So they know me as like I'll get a lot of like the more street references and slang words and shit that happened at Newfield and stuff like that.
You're a little more Hot 97.
Yeah, I'm more Hot 97 and less I don't know, whatever you want to categorize
the
Harry
shark.
Potter and shit. I love the shark, bro. That's on my preset. I love the shark. Anything that's hardcore trending that I can find a little bit of an interest in, like you can drop that in there here and there. Like you can, it's fun.
All right. So my next question, was how dirty does it get? I'm assuming BATSU is a little dirtier than Face Off, just based off of you guys doing all that weird shit.
Honestly, if I had to say, it can get dirty. I mean,
I guess I don't mean like dirty. I mean,
how R-rated can we be?
Yeah,
we can be R-rated. I used to tell people we're like, whose line is it anyway? But we're R-rated. we'll curse, we'll make sexual references. You know, sometimes we've brought up sensitive topics that people may have been offended by, but there's been enough time that has passed, you know. Not saying this is like a regular thing. I'm just saying it's happened.
It's like Holocaust jokes.
You know, look, I'm not saying anything, okay? if there might have been a Holocaust joke here or there, maybe. Shout out to Jamie and Heather. They're both Jewish.
L'chaim.
But yeah, love them. They're my girls.
Or shalom.
Shalom. Look, do we curse? Yeah. Do we make some sexual innuendo references and stuff like that? Sure.
Okay.
Yes, we do. Probably a little more dirtier in Friday Night Face Off than BATSU. Only because BATSU is more on a professionally performance level.
Right.
You know, we have a website where you can buy tickets. You come, you get a whole experience from start to finish.
Yeah, the place is meant for
that. It's like a show. It's a professionally performed show.
And it's dinner?
Yeah, so where you go, it's like a Japanese, like sushi, things like that. You know, so you're walking in to a professionally performed show, which with a parent company behind it that funds it and the whole shebang. Where Friday Night Face Off, you know, it's done at a local theater. You know, and we're a troupe. You know,
a little more underground,
things like that. Yeah, but you know, we try to make it an 18 and over. You know,
right.
But you know, BATSU, we still curse and stuff like that. You know, it's just part of making people laugh. Sometimes it's just you try not to. I don't believe in like cursing and dirty references to try to get a laugh. No, well, I'm not gonna go there. But I try not to do that because it could be a sign of weakness that you're reaching for a laugh, so you have to drop a curse. Or you know what I'm saying? Like,
I've heard that before from.
It's happened to me back when I was coming up. Sometimes I would drop fuck like 5 times in a scene, and they'd call me up and like, dude, why are you cursing so much? And I'm just like, I don't know. They're like, you're trying to reach for a laugh. It's like, just if it just happens, like if you're playing a character where you feel like you need to throw one in, whatever, then fine. But if you find yourself cursing a lot, it means that you're not trusting yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Interesting, because I curse a lot.
It means you're not trusting what you're giving these people, you know?
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I also...
Cursing's funny as shit.
You know, all my favorite comedians curse.
They curse.
You know? But that's also in a joke form. That's not so much on the improv scale. And I'm a massive Whose Line Is It Anyway fan.
Love it.
Like, massive Whose Line.
Who's your favorite?
And they... Oh, Colin and Ryan.
Colin. Well, I know. They're always like right there.
Yeah. I was definitely curious to see, like, because I know we've talked about it before, and we went on this journey for you to watch Star Wars, and you just gave up on it after the first movie.
No, I didn't give up on it. It was just like, you know, at the time, I don't think it was on. Like, I don't think it was streaming, so I really didn't have a spot to like watch it. Plus, my buddy Steve Zegger is supposed to let me borrow, I think, Empire's next one, right?
Didn't I give you?
No.
I gave you the first one.
Yeah.
You need Empire.
I watched A New Hope.
Okay. So you need Empire.
I need it. That's
it's
the next one,
shed.
Right? Okay. Great. Taking well care of it. C-3PO was my favorite.
Okay.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Loved his little
C-3PO is
mannerisms and stuff.
Is one of the best.
I thought it was funny.
Yeah. You haven't watched enough of it to get a feel.
I know Empire's the best one.
No, you know people think Empire is the best one, but you make your own opinions on that.
I did the Marvel journey.
You did. I love you for that, by the way. and was it not worth it?
I love it.
See?
And for those of you that don't know what we're talking about,
Yes.
I was never a fan of superhero movies, but I jumped on the Marvel train.
Comics.
No. I jumped on the Marvel train. I started in chronological order of their release. Started with Iron Man 1 and went all the way to Endgame in about a year.
Took you about a year.
Took me about a year because I didn't have all the free time in the world. But when I did, I popped a new one in, and I loved it, man. Endgame was sick. I think Infinity War is still my favorite.
Without a doubt.
That was awesome.
Like Infinity War, Civil War.
Civil War. Well, I don't know. Winter Soldier was badass too.
Winter Soldier, right? Maybe top 3 right there.
That's great. Yeah, man. Infinity War was just like, holy shit. Like, it was fucking great.
So that feeling you have for Infinity War is similar to what people get from Empire Strikes Back. I'm not going to tell you why.
Okay.
But.
Are you saying Empire Strikes Back's the best one? Maybe we should save this for another podcast.
Yeah, we could do some time on this.
Hey, if you want to do the Star Wars journey, I'll do the Star Wars journey. And then you can throw it like every 5 episodes. You'd be like, all right, Star Wars podcast update 2 with Puma.
Okay, so we need to rewatch.
Dude, I never even watched Deadpool.
Yeah,
I never watched
okay.
DC movies. I never watched Deadpool.
Not a problem.
I'm saying, like, you can really, like, we can start doing a chain. All right, Puma, what's up? But everyone else watched that knows and can talk about that you don't.
Okay. But I've already seen these movies.
I know you can, but I haven't.
Yeah, but now I got to watch them again.
So no, you don't?
Yeah, but I don't remember everything.
Then you could watch them again. You have free time. Ladies and gentlemen, on that note, your average OG podcast, we out. Thank you, sir.
Fun. That was fun.